Hi everybody. I am on, I have no idea what day it is. End of June, June 29th, I think, which would make this the 26th day of my trip. And I have spent the last 3 days in Victoria, Canada. Um, I left the Olympic National Forest area and took a ferry across the Strait of Juan de Fuca um, into Victoria on Thursday. And that was interesting. Um, I didn't reserve a spot early enough, and so the only sailing that they had left was at like really late at night. Well, the one I actually ended up reserving was at like 5 o'clock, but that it's like an hour and a half for the ferry, and I wanted to get here earlier. So they leave a few first come first serve spots open, and so in order to get one of those, I had to get to the ferry terminal 3 hours ahead of when the ship sails, and so um, it uh, sailed at 12:45, and so I had to be there at like 10 o'clock in the morning. So I got up and headed out of my campsite and went to the ferry terminal and waited and waited. I was actually the second person in line for the ferry. But yeah, I just waited around. I had some breakfast and drank my coffee and um, went on about just waiting. And then drove my car onto the ferry. And then you can't be in your car on like international voyages or like on the car deck. And it's not safe to be down there anyway because the ship is moving, and if the cars move, then you could get crushed. So I had to go up, uh, which I wanted to do anyways because I get really seasick. So I had stopped at a grocery store on my way to the ferry and picked up some Dramamine. So I took that while I was waiting, and it helped, but I still like I had to go to the bathroom from all the coffee. Uh, and while I was in the bathroom, there's no windows, of course, and so I started to feel kind of nauseous. So I went outside. They have inside seating, outside seating. They've got a little cafe on the ferry. There's a little duty free shop. It's a pretty good sized ferry. But I went ahead and went outside because I felt like being able to see and also being able to feel the wind would be helpful. And because it turns out that the reason that people get motion sick is because the feelings in their body, and especially in their semicircular canals in their ears, are not matching up with what the visual cues that they're getting from their eyes are, and your brain just can't handle that, and so you get nauseous. And so, luckily, I could see shoreline for the entire voyage, which was very helpful. I have noticed, I went sailing many, many years ago with Jamie on Lake Michigan. And when we got to where I couldn't see the shore anymore, that's where like it was really bad. So um, luckily I was able to see the shore. And at first I went up towards the front of the ship and I was kind of looking over and taking pictures and things like that. And I was wearing this head scarf bandana that I had made last year for the trip. And the wind kicked up, and the sea claimed that as a sacrifice um, for safe passage. So that was unfortunate. I'll just have to make another one when I go home, I guess. I still have a couple of others. And I bring them on these trips because, of course, there are a lot of times where I can't take a shower every day and my hair gets real greasy, so I just cover it up and be done with it. Um, Camping tip for everybody: just cover your hair. Don't worry about making it clean all the time when you're camping. Um, So anyway, then I just like found a seat outside and just kind of stared at the horizon and waited for the hour and a half for the boat to land. And um, then when it landed, I had to go through customs, which was an interesting experience. I have only traveled out of the US one other time, and that was when I flew to Cancun. And that was like an immediate just like go through. Nobody even asked me any questions. There was a little form that I filled out, and that was it for those customs. But here getting into Canada, the guy, I don't know if he was just like trying to be extra cautious or what. It seemed like the line that I ended up in was moving a lot slower than the other lines around me. And he was asking me all kinds of questions like, why are you here? What do you have to go home to? Who's your family? He seemed really weirded out by the fact that I had a rug in my back seat, which I use a rug inside my tent to help protect the floor of the tent from the cot that I sleep on. And so that I can, wear shoes. I can step into the tent with my shoes still on and protect the floor of the tent. But yeah, he seemed really weirded out by that. I guess he thought, oh, people only carry rugs when they're moving somewhere. I don't know. But after a lot of questions, he finally let me go on through. And then it actually took me longer to get from the ferry to my hotel than it did to get from Port Angeles, Washington to Victoria on the ferry. Between all of that questioning and then just like crazy traffic, because that port area, the wharf down there, is a very, very popular tourist destination. So it's a very busy area. The ferry landed at like 2:30, and I didn't get to my hotel until well after 4 o'clock. So it was a long drive, and of course, having been in the woods for the last 2 weeks, the first thing I needed was a shower. So I went in and I made myself feel a little bit more human and a little less bog witch. And after that, I got some dinner and just kind of relaxed here at the hotel because I was tired. Camping is fun, but also kind of exhausting. There's a lot of work to be done, especially trying to tend that fire in the rainforest. But anyway, so then the next day, I got up and went to the Victoria Butterfly Garden. It is, I didn't really know what I was going to do here. I just decided to come. And so I sort of like searched on like TripAdvisor and stuff like that to see what kinds of things were interesting in the area. And the Butterfly Garden definitely seemed like a fun place to go. And so it is a big open room. Well, before you get into that, they have a few really cool exhibits of various insects. They have some leafcutter ants, and I got a really cool video of the leafcutters. So they are teeny tiny little ants that live in the rainforest, and they cut pieces of leaves off and travel home with them back to their nest. And inside of their nest, they don't actually eat the leaves. They use the leaves to feed fungus. They actually farm the fungus and they eat the fungus. And the leafcutter ants eat nothing else besides that fungus. And that fungus only grows inside of leafcutter ant nests. So all of that is very cool to me. And so I got this video showing the whole like setup of the leaf cutter ants getting their leaves and taking them home back to their fungus farm.
Oh, they are alive.
Fancy. Once you start to see them, you'll see them everywhere. You want me to press it so you can take pictures?
I tried, but it got so blurry. And now you may push it. Yeah, and look at all these guys.
Look at this one, Riley. This one's kind of annoying.
No, I'm inviting this to my friend. I'm sending this to my friend. Those are the videos. I'm probably gonna take Look how big that one is. These ones are really Look how big that one is.
Look at the one underneath that.
Are these There's these are the spiny ones, those are like the ones. Yeah, the stick ones.
And they had some giant millipedes, some really cool stick insects, and giant katydids. Gosh, I don't even remember what else they had. They had a bunch of really interesting stuff. Lots of very big insects, like 6-7 inches long. And then you go into the actual butterfly garden, and that is this big open room with lots of tropical plants and a big like water feature in the middle. They've got some koi in there. They have a bunch of turtles and a bunch of tortoises. And they also have a bunch of birds. And all of the non-butterfly animals that they have in there are animals that people have tried to keep as pets, and they failed at doing that, and then they were surrendered, and so they're all rescues. And it seemed that love was in the air as I was there. There seemed to be, so when I first got to the tortoises, there was one that I'm assuming was a female. It's, hard to tell from, unless you can like see their plastron, which is their underneath shell. Males tend to have a concaved one, and females tend to be flat. But she was flipped over on her back, and somebody else had already contacted the people, and eventually a keeper came over and flipped her back so that she could walk around again. But like as soon as she got flipped back over, the biggest one that was in there that I assume is a male started chasing her around. And then a little while later, the keeper brought another tortoise and put them in there. I'm not sure where it had been. But it also started chasing her around, so it seemed like there was probably a bit of a love triangle going on between the three of them. And then I saw there was this parrot whose name was Little E, and he was raised by people and was very friendly. They're very adamant about don't touch the animals, but if they want to come sit on you, butterflies will land on you and things like that, then just let them. And I noticed him, there were a few people sitting around, and he was like sort of sitting on the back of a bench, and this woman in like a pink jogging outfit sat down in front of him, and he hopped right onto her and aggressively tried to mate with her arm. And then I found some butterflies mating as well. So it's love was in the air at the butterfly garden. And I actually, one of the really cool things was that I managed to get like all the stages of the butterfly life. I saw some of them that were mating. I saw one that was laying eggs. Then they had caterpillars around, and also pupae, and of course adults. So I managed to get all of the stages that was really cool. And talking to another keeper later on, um, they they buy pupae. They order like a bunch of them, and of course, there is some mating and natural replenishment of the butterflies happening there, but it's not enough to sustain. So they order these pupae, and then when they emerge, they release them out into the enclosure. They have a little room on one side that's got glass, and you can see all the pupae. And they happened to be releasing some of them while I was there, so I got to see them put the little box. They plucked all of the butterflies out of the small, I don't know, incubation room, and put them in a little box, and then brought them out and just set the open box out so that they could get out on their own, because I think some of them probably weren't quite dried out yet and couldn't fly. And I after I had seen the parrot, little E, sitting on the other woman, there were some children around, and apparently the parrot does not like children. And I wanted to see if he would, sit on me, because I love animals, and I'm always going to try to make friends with them. So I tried for a little bit there, but with the kids around, he just wasn't having it. And so after I'd made my way all the way around, and I saw all of the other things that were there, including a flamingo, which I can come back to the flamingo story later. But I went back and I saw he was sitting on the back of a different bench. And so I sat down and I put my arm out and I was like, hey, let's be friends. And I sat there for a while, and he kind of sort of like would come closer and then back up and come closer and back up. And while this was happening, another woman was like walking by, and she was like, do you want me to take pictures of this for you? And I was like, sure. Because I didn't know if I was ever going to get him to actually sit on me. And so she took a few pictures and sent them to my email. And then right after she left, and it was just like me and little E, then he finally like crawled on my arm, and we had a bit of a snuggle, and he sort of, put his little head in my neck, and it was very, very cute. And then shortly after that, I went ahead and headed out, because the butterfly garden being tropical, they keep the heat rather high, and they keep the humidity rather high as well. So great for the plants and the butterflies and the animals, not so great for the humans. But before I left, I did see the flamingo, and apparently what happened was that somebody had imported them, some person with more money than sense imported them without any permits, and there were 2 of them to begin with, and they were confiscated by the local police, and then given to the butterfly garden to take care of. And unfortunately, one of them passed away not long ago, and so they only have the one left. But the one that is left, is apparently bonded with one of the keepers, and they cuddle and all of that kind of stuff, which is really important because flamingos are extremely social species. And so they definitely want to have, others in their flock. And I think this flamingo also sees a lot of the parrots as other birds in its flock as well. So I don't think it's lonely. And then they also had a display of poison dart frogs, which are some of my favorites. Some of you may know I have a tattoo of a poison dart frog. They did not have the one that I have a tattoo of, which is Dendrobates azuris, which is it's blue with black spots. But they did have some of the other ones. So I got some pictures of those. They were really cute. And then I, being in Canada, of course, I had to go try some poutine. I don't know why I've never tried to make it at home. It seems like it would be so easy to make at home. But I wanted some, authentic Canadian poutine. So I found a restaurant that had it. Um, I had actually tried to find a restaurant before I went to the Butterfly Garden. Um, I found a place that did like brunch, and they it said they had poutine on the menu that I saw online. But when I got there, they didn't. But the food that I did have was really tasty. It was an eggs Benedict, and these very very good potatoes. Um, so because that had been a failure, I went and found this other restaurant and had some poutine. It was fine. I had actually had some last year in Wyoming. I found it, of all places, on a menu, and that one was really good. And I actually went back to that same restaurant the next day with my friends Roach and Stefan because it was so good. This one was fine, but it wasn't anything to write home about. Um, and then I came on back to the hotel.